Marni Hughes, and this is Missing. Thank you for joining us. Each week, we feature a missing persons case from across the country. No matter their race, religion, background, or circumstances, every missing person matters. With your help, our goal is to shine a light on cases that are not getting much attention, dig for answers, and offer support for the family and friends of the missing. This week's featured case centers around the Cirigliano family from Michigan. They vanished in 2022. A mom and a dad and two teen sons. The circumstances around their disappearance at the time were unusual, a bizarre call to 911. Tony Cirigliano asking for police help and protection. He thought someone was trying to kill him and his family. He believed a meteor strike was imminent, so they took off, prompting a massive search. 6 days later, and 600 miles away from their home, the family was found safe. A relief for sure, but then the story takes an even more puzzling turn.
Your mind fails you. It's kind of an odd thing, because it wasn't like I was hearing voices. It seemed like my mind that I'm used to, you know, the internal talking that you're familiar with, but it just was saying crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I thought the world was going to end very shortly by a meteor strike. That was just one of many concerns that I had.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I can laugh about it now, but it was so crazy.
In a moment, the family will share more of their story, including their belief that a jar of honey, they call mad honey, is to blame for the entire chain of events. Before we get to that, we have several other missing person cases to share with you. This is 2-year-old Dane Paulson. His family reported him missing Saturday afternoon, March 1st. Dane was last seen playing in the yard at his home in Silence, Oregon. This is a small town. It's near the coast, west between Salem and Eugene. Police do not suspect foul play, which is why there is not an Amber Alert in this case. It was 4:25 in the afternoon. At the time, Dane was wearing a fuzzy gray hoodie. It had ears, blue and white shoes, and black pants. He is friendly, apparently comfortable around strangers and water, but he cannot swim. There are teams of volunteers searching for Dane on foot. Dogs and thermal technology also part of this search. Police are also scouring the nearby Silence River. There is a tip line set up in this case, 541-265-0669, if you have any information that can bring Dane home safely. The family of Ruthie Smith is pleading for help from the public and asking the Los Angeles Police Department to take over the case. Ruthie lived in Long Beach and disappeared 3 years ago this week. Last seen in a part of Los Angeles known for gang violence. Ruthie was working as a prostitute to make ends meet and provide for her young daughter. Her family believes that work, along with the fact that she is a young black woman, has led investigators to take her case less seriously. Retired LAPD Detective Moses Castillo is working with Ruthie's family and tells me he believes Ruthie is still alive and likely being sex trafficked.
The issue here is that the police are dealing with an unsympathetic victim, and I think that's what's happening here. And because of that, they're not really putting the resources that we believe they ought to.
Castillo thinks that Ruthie could be anywhere, but believes it's unlikely she's still in the LA area. Two possible locations include Las Vegas or San Francisco. Ruthie has multiple tattoos, including one that says ocean with a wave on her chest. Contact the LAPD or police in Long Beach if you have any information that can help bring Ruthie home to her family and her little girl. Now to this week's featured case and this missing family found. The circumstances around their disappearance raising a lot of questions. Most strangely, a jar of honey they call mad honey. Susan Samples from WOODTV sat down with Ciriglianos as they recount the mysterious chain of events, their disappearance, and a sudden psychotic break, their safe return, and the reason they believe it all happened.
Nuevo County 911.
Yes, hello. This is Anthony John Cirigliano. Everyone is okay, but I need some police protection immediately.
On the line, minutes after midnight on an October Sunday in 2022, an almost eerily calm Tony Cirigliano.
It is related to September 11th, and people want to erase me from the face of the earth. I'm a Christian. I just need some help, and then the U.S. government will take it from here. I'm not crazy.
First at 12:30, breaking news just into our newsroom, an alert about a family of 4 that is missing.
24 hours after the 911 call, the Ciriglianos, Tony, Suzette, and sons Brandon and Noah were gone. And Suzette's mom, who lives with them and has dementia, was found wandering the neighborhood.
We don't see any signs of foul play right now. There's no signs of struggle inside the home.
The mystery of the missing family quickly captivated armchair detectives, and an alert gas station clerk in the UP spotted the family first, 300 miles from home.
We really have no idea of what ties either one would have in that area.
600 miles and 6 days later, a hotel clerk in Wisconsin recognized the family, and police found them safe and unhurt. Case closed. Until now.
All I had in my mind was to get away and head north.
It's the fear and confusion Tony remembers most.
I thought maybe that somehow I was the devil, and I asked God if I was the devil to just burn me to a crisp right now, and I'd be yelling, looking at the sky, just really bizarre stuff.
You know, he was not in his right mind. He was not well.
What Tony didn't know at the time, at 51 years old, the IT specialist was experiencing for the first time a psychotic break.
And when your mind fails you, it's kind of an odd thing, because it wasn't like I was hearing voices. It seemed like my mind that I'm used to, you know, the internal talking that you're familiar with, but it just was saying crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I thought the world was going to end very shortly by a meteor strike. That was just one of many concerns that I had.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I can laugh about it now, but it was so crazy.
The Ciriglianos reached out to Target 8, hoping to help illuminate a subject that desperately needs it, mental health. But there's something else, too.
Here is the infamous jar.
A couple months before the Ciriglianos fled, Tony bought raw honey online.
When I ordered it on my mobile phone, I couldn't really read the letter, and it looked like something I had purchased before.
It wasn't, but Tony didn't realize that right away and said he started adding the honey, a teaspoon or two, to his daily yogurt.
I didn't feel very good. I was having heart palpitations, and I thought it might be the honey.
Tony said that's when he noticed the Russian label, not his regular brand, and came across something online called Mad Honey. It's produced when bees feed on toxic nectar from rhododendron plants, mostly in Turkey and Nepal. Mad honey is known and prized for its intoxicating effect, especially since the social media debut of this super chill, honey-drunk bear in northern Turkey. In people, mad honey poisoning is hardly ever fatal, with symptoms ranging from low heart rate and blood pressure, confusion, agitation, vomiting, dizziness, and in very rare cases, and only at high doses, hallucinations.
I think this was about half empty before we dumped it out. So I had that much of whatever it was.
The honey Tony bought was sold as regular raw honey, not mad honey. Its distributor told me there's no way the honey, which he said was imported from Russia, was contaminated with anything. The FDA told me it has never had any complaints against that business. The Ciriglianos are not convinced.
And that's when the problems began, you know, and it really started, I guess, building up, and started having a lot of unusual thoughts, very vivid dreams, just strange behaviors. My poor wife went through a lot.
Was this just terrifying? I mean, what's going through your mind during this?
Oh, I knew that it was definitely some craziness happening with him, and you know, we were just trying to figure out the best way of trying to get him help.
I'm not crazy.
When Tony himself pleaded for help in that 911 call, Fremont police did a welfare check and determined the Ciriglianos were not in imminent danger. Tony disagreed.
And I was reading Revelation, which is, you know, pretty heavy stuff, and just misinterpreting. And besides people trying to kill me because I knew something about 9/11.
One day after Tony's call to 911 in the middle of the night.
And all of a sudden, he turned over, and I kind of opened my eyes and looked over at him. He turned, his eyes popped open. He looked right at me and said, "We need to leave now."
So he woke me up like at 3 o'clock in the morning, and she said like we had to go.
Suzette said she never felt threatened by Tony. Neither did their sons, Brandon, 21, and Noah, 17. When Suzette's mom, who had early dementia, refused to leave with the family, they reasoned she would be okay at home because Tony's mom would be stopping by soon. Tony insisted they leave their cell phones behind to prevent tracking. That's why Brandon tried to use the phone at that UP gas station. He wanted to call Tony's mom because he missed her.
He didn't know you had to press 1 before I put the phone number in, so it didn't go through.
The search is over for Fremont family.
1 week after the Ciriglianos fled their Fremont home, a Wisconsin hotel clerk recognized them from the news. Suzette and the boys were relieved.
Because I really, really want to go back home.
We needed to get home, and he needed help.
I was institutionalized for about 3 weeks.
Tony was put on antipsychotic drugs and then court-ordered into 6 months of outpatient counseling. In his discharge summary, Newaygo County Community Mental Health reported Tony had been safely tapered off antipsychotic meds, has had no additional episodes, and no longer meets the criteria for severe, persistent mental illness. The report also noted that Tony had suffered what appeared to be a psychotic break triggered by the overconsumption of mad honey, which contained brain-altering neurotoxins. But the psychiatric hospital where Tony had stayed reported a different diagnosis, bipolar disorder. Though Tony notes the hospital spent very little time with him compared to Newaygo County Mental Health.
Mental health diagnoses are complex.
Dr. Bibhas Singla is a psychiatrist at Pine Rest, not the facility that treated Tony. Singla said paranoid delusions are a common symptom of mania.
And a lot of bipolar disorder can first present with mania, and then mania has paranoid delusions as one of the symptoms as well.
The Ciriglianos said they'll never know for sure what caused Tony's psychosis. They dumped the honey when labs told them toxin testing would cost thousands and might not work anyway. Tony is back to working full-time in IT, and everyone's doing fine, including Suzette's mom.
We're very thankful that the neighbors did step in and things worked out as they did, and she's doing well, and we're doing good.
I spoke with Suzanne Samples, the investigative reporter from WOODTV, about this bizarre case. Here's that conversation. Susan, you and I'm sure, have covered many, countless stories over our career that we could label bizarre and wild, but this one takes the cake. Why did this family want to speak out and share their story?
Right. You can imagine my surprise when I was just scanning my emails one day, emailing emails into the newsroom, and up pops Tony Cirigliano. And I'm like, that name is so familiar. That's the gentleman who disappeared with his family. And in that initial email, he said he wanted to set the record straight in terms of the digital online record about what happened, take people behind the scenes, and let people know that he has since recovered in full. And I think they also wanted to raise awareness about mad honey and the importance of talking about mental health openly. They want to normalize that conversation. But mad honey, who knew this was a thing? It is a thing. There's no way, he has acknowledged, there's no way to prove that that's what happened here. They had the honey. Oh my gosh, it's such a complicated and long story, but I didn't even know such a thing existed. But indeed, mad honey, you can get mad honey poisoning. It is harvested mostly in Turkey and Nepal. Bees that feed on rhododendrons, as you said. It has an intoxicating effect, the honey that comes from that. And he thinks, as you mentioned, that that honey was contaminated, but they got rid of the honey at some point because he said that he and his wife called all kinds of labs hoping to get it tested for gray anatoxins. That's the toxic element in mad honey. But all of the labs said it'll be thousands and thousands of dollars, and we don't even know how to test for that. It might not even be successful. So they ended up dumping the honey. but they want people to know this is a thing that's out there. I don't think it's hugely popular. Oh, there's the bear that got drunk on the honey. That's like a social media sensation. I don't think this is hugely popular in the United States right just yet, mad honey, but I do believe it's growing, and people need to know that you have to take very small amounts of it because it is potentially intoxicating. People have poisoning. Rarely is it fatal. In fact, I don't think there has been a fatal case that people can document, but hallucinations are something that can happen with that.
Wow. The video of the bear and showing just how intoxicating it can be is quite alarming, Susan. So the family, when they vanished, it was a story we covered in our Missing series. They were gone for 6 days. Nobody knew what had happened to them. Where did they go? Where were they staying all that time, and what were they doing?
Driving without GPS. So he made his family leave the phones behind because he was worried about tracking. I mean, so interesting in this story to sort of lift the veil on mental health and what a psychotic break looks like. And the fact that he's
it looks like we may have lost Susan's microphone. Susan, are you still there?
Yes, I am. Hi.
Sorry. So the raising the veil on mental health and awareness, we'll end it there, which was the reason that the family wanted to speak out. What did they share, and what more do we know about his diagnosis in this case?
Right. Well, as you said, he blames it on the honey, but knows that he can't prove that. It has all left his system, and he no longer is having those hallucinations. But one thing really quick I want to say is bipolar, one agency or one hospital where he stayed for 3 weeks did think he had bipolar. Mania and hallucinations is an element of bipolar. And I thought that bipolar shows up usually with younger people, ages 15 to 25. But I found out that it also shows up between 45 and 55. Which I didn't know that there were those two peaks, 15 to 25, ages 45 to 55. He was 51 when this happened. But again, he has not had any hallucinations since he stopped the honey, had care for 3 weeks residentially, and then went through a whole year of care in the community mental health agency. That family is doing great. That's what they want people to know. They're fine.
They're doing well now. Well, what a story. Thank you for sharing it. I'm glad they sat down with you, and we've got the full story on newsnationnow.com. Susan Samples from WOODTV, good to see you.
Thanks, you too.
All right, my thanks to Suzanne Samples for her reporting on this story. Before we let you go, this little boy has been found safe after 7 years. Aziz Khan is now 14 years old. Now, his non-custodial mother, Rabia Khalid, along with her husband, are in custody charged with felony kidnapping. Aziz was abducted in 2017 from Atlanta. He was 7 years old at the time. He was found in Colorado when police were called to a burglary in progress. He was with another boy in a vehicle. Both boys are okay and now with authorities. Aziz's family says they are thankful for the support that they've received the last 7 years, and they are now navigating the next steps.
I mean, of course, first is heartbreak, but then realizing that he's been found, to me, that is just, that is such a miracle. We should all be celebrating it. And it should be such a huge reminder that we cannot give up on any missing person because you never know when they're going to be found.
That's Elizabeth Smart talking to Brian Enton on Banfield about the miracle in this case and keeping hope alive in other missing cases as well, based on her own experience. All right, we're following some new developments in another one of our missing cases, the disappearance of Aisha Degree. She was 9 years old when she vanished from her home near Shelby, North Carolina. That was 25 years ago. Warrants in the case now reveal a suspect in her case allegedly admitted to killing Aisha. Join us next week for the very latest on this ongoing investigation. And if you have a missing case you think we should look into, send it to us at newsnationnow.com/missing. Many of the cases we cover come from you. You can also check out some of the other cases that we are currently following. As always, thank you for joining us. I'm Marni Hughes in Chicago. I'll see you back next week for another missing case.